Welcome to Pay Attention, a podcast guiding you from the chaos of the mind to the clarity of the heart. Here's your host, Holly McNeill.
Hello, how is everyone today? We are at the end of our kind of major part of season 2. Like I said, this is season 2. We're still kind of adjusting, and so this season we're going to wrap up today and wrap the major part of it, and then hopefully, I'm thinking the intention is right around the holidays I'll come back to wrap up season 2 and come back again next year with season 3. We were hoping our guest showed up for this intro. I see her now in the back studio, but we will play the recording. This recording we did back in October. It's really a good kind of ending to bring people into the summer about being curious, about keeping going, about never, giving up, even before you really know what's going on in your body and mind. Just be curious, just keep going. And so enjoy the episode. And my guest and I will see you at the end. Cheers. Holly McNeill, and welcome to another episode of Pay Attention. And my episodes my podcast is all about paying attention to the hidden influences in your body and mind from moment to moment. And today I'm going international. I talk a lot about what's going on in our country, but I was fortunate to be the guest on a podcast from a young woman who is far, far away from me. So I'm going to introduce her, let you tell her a little bit about where she's at, what she's doing. Austra Putnina. Welcome.
Hello.
She said any way that you pronounce my name will be fine. So
I usually say as long as I respond, I'm happy.
So thank you for joining us today. Tell us how you pronounce your name.
The right version is Austra Putnina. And it is actually my surname is in Latvian. There's a word Putins, and Putnina is just a cuter way to say it, and it's like bird, but cuter way would be birdie. So some people even call me Birdie as a nickname because of it.
Oh, wow. I've worked with a lot of people over my career from a lot of different cultures. And sometimes, they take on kind of Americanized names, which are easier to say. And I always try to, do my best to pronounce their name correctly. And I'm very, very challenged in doing that. So, but Birdie is sweet. But tell us where are you coming in from today?
So I'm currently based in Estonia, and the main things that I'm doing, there's quite a bit, since I'm really kind of like multi-passionate person, I think. One of them definitely is podcasting. So I'm in front of the camera and also behind the scenes helping other podcasters. And I have 2 podcasts. One is Chase the Impossible, and the other one is Wisdom in Action, which is where we connected through. I got you on as well. And then I also have done like mindset coaching, resilience coaching, helping people to become better versions of themselves, understand themselves, and really just, become better humans.
Become better humans. Yeah. So you're originally from Estonia, right?
Originally from Latvia, currently based in Estonia.
Oh, sorry. Yes, and so like me, you'll have to look up those places if you're listening here in the United States to know where that is. But tell me, Austra, how did what got you interested in mindfulness? What started you down this road? And
usually I say I was lucky enough to be young enough and be aware enough, because when I was, I don't know, I probably was like 10, maybe 12 years old. That's when I started to notice certain things where I would see that even in school, I would be afraid to raise my hand. And I was the A student. Like I was the one that knew all the answers and everything. And I would still be there would be some shame, some fear, or I just started to notice some behaviors in my classmates. And then I looked at myself and I was like, I feel like something is off, or why does it feel so hard for me to be this way or that way? And that led me, thanks to curiosity, by curiosity and also just being like, what is wrong with me? That led me to look into like different kind of books and psychology and just really it started with trying to understand myself. And it led me to, initially I was studying psychology in Latvia, and I ended up going to UK to get bachelor's in sports psychology, and I just have kept going on with it. And in some ways I look at myself as like real life experiment because I'm really passionate about all these things. I like to challenge myself, go through experiences, and I use those to learn lessons and skills that I can then try to help others with.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's so interesting. It's like listening to myself only 20 years prior, right? I just absolutely love that, at that early age at 10, that you had that awareness that you're like, this seems a little off, right? And then when you see that, it just takes that little spark of awareness to start to question it. And when you think, okay, something's got to be different, and you put your mind to it, all of that stuff shows up, right? So all the books that you needed, and I love that. I love it because most of us get entangled, right, in our habits and patterns, and what I call the entanglement camp. And there's kind of two camps. There's entanglement and there's awareness. And most of us lose all of that when we're younger until what some of us are calling the quarter life crisis, or recognizing as a quarter life crisis in our late 20s or early 30s. But you were 10. That's amazing. I mean, did you go home and tell your mom, like, hey, what's going on here? Or it just...
I think I felt like a lot of it I had to resolve on my own. So even like I think partly also it was related to basketball because I literally started to wake up at 5 a.m. when I was like 12 years old because I was like, I don't feel like I'm good enough. I think I'm super slow. And I like my kid's mind was, well, then I need to like work extra. And I had this like weird thing about like, I felt like the way I run is like weird, or I would be slow and I would literally feel shame about it. So like I started to wake up at 5 a.m., not because it was like 5 a.m. club, but that's when nobody was out. So I'm like, okay, that's my chance to go out and do the workouts. And I would train for years every single day. I would make my own programs throughout like whether it was raining or it was snowing, it didn't matter. I would get out there every day at 5 a.m. and like do my workouts. And that led me to, like, I was the only player in my team who didn't need any rest on the games. I didn't even look at the bench because I was able to play the whole game and I didn't get tired because of those workouts. But like, there was a lot of things that I think came from, it's partly why I like to talk about them. There's the positives that can come from negative experiences or like shame or those things, because it didn't come from a healthy place of I'm this motivated, driven person. I was like, I don't think I'm good enough. I need to get better. And that was the solution that I came up with. But through going through those experiences, I started to learn real life lessons of if you put in the work, you will get better, the reps and the importance of that and the discipline and all those things, they came with time. And I still was like, kind of insecure about that, or like I would overthink or be anxious. And I was really a good player, one of the best players in my team. I even almost got to, I probably would play in national team if I had more belief in myself, because I definitely had the skills, but I didn't have the mindset of, oh, actually I do think that I'm good enough to play at that level. And it's interesting now that I'm back at playing basketball 10 years later, because it's way different perception and mindset that I have, where I'm actually able to be way more present. It takes much more to get me off my game. And it's interesting to see how big of a shift or how much growth I actually have had in those 10 years.
Wow. So you're in your 20s, you're in your mid 20s, and
yeah, I'm more towards the other side. I'm about to turn 29 next year,
still,
but yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, that's so some of that was the repetition and just, and just through that discipline, because the mind is very chaotic, right? It's just this whole collage of sights and sounds and those thoughts, like you said, of feeling unworthy. If we don't pay attention to them, we often try to fight them, try to push them away. They did just grow stronger and stronger. So I love that you said kind of through these practices, you started to see things a little bit differently.
That's actually a big thing that I see, especially I think in my generation, is that a lot of us, we try to think our way into solution instead of acting, and we try to have this perfect plan before we have taken the first step. And I have made those mistakes myself, and I see how it makes you feel stuck. You don't really move anywhere, so you start to feel even worse, and you now start to ruminate on all those negative things because you don't have this first perfect step. But that's the point, is you just have to take this step. And for me, it wasn't like I was the super aware person where I was like, okay, I need to do this to become better because this will lead me to this. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like waking up at 5 a.m. doing my workouts because that's what I was doing. That's what in my mind was the solution to whatever was the problem that I came up with, which maybe wasn't even the problem, but it felt like it.
Yeah.
And it's what I started to do, and that led me to some solutions. I still felt like anxious and all that when I was playing, but looking back, that's when I can learn those lessons. But that's the importance of taking the action instead of just being like passive or not do anything or just like stay stuck.
Right. So moving in some direction. And a lot of times that intuition will come through and just kind of like, this is the way to go. And I tell people, you don't really even have to know how to get there. Like you said, you didn't know where you were going. You're just like, you have a picture of where you want to be, and you move towards that direction instead of thinking, I can't do it. If you stay in those, I can't do it, I'm not good enough, that's exactly where you're going to be, 10 years from now. But here you are 10 years later, and you're talking about it. You're telling people you've got Wisdom in Action podcast. And what's the other one?
Chase the Impossible.
Chasing the Impossible. And great. So tell us, kind of what you do to coach people if they come to you, and they feel stuck, what kind of advice do you give them?
Actually, even to add to what you said about knowing where to go, because that's, I think, a lot of times there's this sense of, I need to know my purpose, my mission, my all that. And a lot of us, we don't know it. Like, some of us are lucky enough to know what it is, but we might not know it. It might change over time, and you can always shift and pivot. But also, for me, I actually didn't know where I wanted to be. And I think that's where the important piece is, that you don't always have to know where you want to be. Sometimes it's enough to know where you don't want to be. And then what you try to do is you try to build as big of a distance between where you are or where you don't want to be and where you are. So you just try to get as far from where you are as you can, because that's where you can have that reference. Because sometimes some people, they grow up with like in places or situations where they can't even comprehend that life could be good or things could go well for them. Their only reference is things go wrong, this happens, that happens, nothing good happens to me. So use that as your baseline, and then what you try to do is to build as big of a distance between those two, yourself and where you were, as you can. And soon enough, you will lift your head up and you're like, how did I get here?
This is so lovely. I mean, some people, like I said, a lot of people, myself included, spend many, many years just stuck and lost and miserable and anxious without doing a thing until we hit some kind of rock bottom, until some kind of thing is so horrible, you have to realize that there's better out there. But what you're saying is, hey, you know what? You don't know what you don't know, right? All you know is what's in this place that you don't want to be, right? And it's painful and it's anxious and yeah. So just getting out there and moving towards, better or what's next or the journey, and things start to show up when you're looking for them, right? If you're constantly stuck in that I've got to do this, trying to make yourself be okay. Yeah, that's where you're gonna stay. But if you're looking for it, it's really quite beautiful what you're saying. You just have to kind of just move.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which sounds way easier than it is in real life, because it does feel, even if it's the tiniest step, which is another important point that I do say to a lot of people, because a lot of people, by the time they get to the point where they want to change, they have had enough. They want to be out of where they are like yesterday. And usually it took you years to get to where you are. So it probably won't be overnight for you to get out. But I literally had a conversation with a friend of mine today about it, even about as an example of getting in shape. It's like I have had ups and downs and all those experiences. But the biggest thing that actually helps is, instead of jumping from trend to trend and being too extreme, you actually focus on what's sustainable. The good example would be losing weight. And I have gone through my ups and downs in that whole journey for a long time. And I also would deal with binge eating and all that. And there's a few things that I have learned. A lot of times, initially, when we want to change, we are so unhappy with where we are that we want to have it rapid change. I need to change everything. I'm going to exercise 5 hours a day, no cheat meals. Everything is tracked and everything is perfect, but we can't sustain it that long.
Right.
And instead, the more sustainable path, it won't give you results instantly. As if you would be insanely disciplined, and you your weight loss becomes your life for a month, you will see results, but you can't sustain it. But with the sustainable stuff, you won't see results instantly. So that's where a lot of people lose their motivation, because you don't see this rapid change within a month or 2 months, but you start to build a lifestyle where it becomes sustainable, where you actually, once you get the result, you probably will continue improving it, but at the very least, you don't move backwards. And the key to the whole thing, which most of us don't like, is not quitting. So you actually have to keep going. That's why you want to make it as simple as possible. Don't overcomplicate it. Stick to the basics, and time will do the rest. You just have to do what you need to do at the basic level, and trust that the time will do the rest.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Time will do the rest. It's like, when you think about it, your life is like an ocean liner. It moves very slow and methodical. If you're moving it in one direction, and then one day you wake up and I hate this direction, you have to turn it, right? It takes time, and the mind is going to resist change. Right? One of the jobs of your mind is to keep you safe, and it does so by keeping your conditioning intact. So it's going to be whoa, wait, what?
Yeah.
What? And that's why people fail, especially if they go 100% and, they try to change everything. The mind's like, no, we're not doing this. And the new habits, right? If you think of the neural net in your head, it's strong. It's like this powerful computer going forward, and you've got these teeny little new programs saying, let's do this, right? You have to build it up, make it stronger, like any kind of muscle, like any kind of workout. Like you got up in the morning to work on your basketball, right? You build it up every day. And so consistency is key. Repetition is key. Telling your mind, this is the new path. This is the new path. This is the new path. So they say in changing habits, you really, start small, right? And don't try to bite off too much, and something that's achievable. And if it helps to change your environment, anything you can do to help. It's like growing a flower, a plant. It's just this little seed, and it needs light, and it needs love, and it needs water.
It won't grow in 2 days.
Yeah. Wow, I love that.
That's actually one of the lessons that I got when I have been probably quite obsessed with all the habits and everything. There was one year when I did, every month I would track habits, and I got to 33 habits every single day, and I had my tables and everything that I would track everything. And And there was one thing that I learned, like big lesson that I learned is, like, one was if you do too much, you can't sustain it. But also it was, you can't do 30-day tasks in one day. You have to do them every day. That's how you get to that 1 month of getting everything done. You don't do it in one day, you do it in 30 days. And that's how the progress happens.
Yeah.
I know that we all want to have progress super quick, and we're looking for all these hacks. And in you looking for those hacks, you actually lose a time that you could be improving yourself with doing the basics, doing the simple stuff.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to get probably more progress than trying to grow your seed within like 2 days.
Yeah. It's all about repetition. But if you repeat one thing, some kind of something you want to believe 30 times in one day, right? It's great. It'll be fine. But if you don't sustain it, right? So 3 times a day for 30 days is going to make all the difference. And people do want stuff, right now. But I often tell them, if they think about going back to school or making some major change, it's like, if you don't do anything, in 5 years, you'll be in the same spot or worse. So think of the long game.
Yeah, and it's also about for me, like I call it the mental game, where it's easy to do all the stuff that you need to do when you have the good day. Everything is going perfectly and all that. But what matters is those few test days that you get. Everything goes wrong, you didn't get your sleep, or you just don't feel good for whatever reason. Those are the days that actually matter the most. And those are the days that I actually myself start to look forward to, because those are the days when I can assess where am I at in my growth. Because when things are going perfectly, it's pretty easy. It's smooth sailing. But what matters is how, or like that's a lot of one of the reasons why I do all my winter swim challenges and 75 hard and all these races and all that. A lot of it is just to, and that's an important point I think in general with growth, is be curious about yourself instead of being judgmental. I'm curious. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to understand, okay, so this happened and it threw me off. What can I do next time if it happens again? So every day when you get thrown off, instead of now this is your that's a sign that you have failed. It's like, no, this is your sign or your chance to learn, adapt, and try to understand something new about yourself so that you can apply it the next time. A lot of it is just the only way you can fail really is by quitting and not getting back up again.
The first time. Yep. There's a couple of words you said right in the beginning when you're talking about kind of your journey. And one is awareness and the other one was curiosity. And, one of the most famous definitions of mindfulness itself is moment to moment, non-judgmental, but curious awareness.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And without that, you're just on autopilot, subject to whatever comes up. And with it, you're on a journey, right? I mean, you are very, I love it. I love it when people start young and they're 10 and you're going, what? This does not seem right. You get curious, right? And you're on this journey that lasts, hopefully, 60, 70, 80, 90 years. But you can lose so much of it if you're on that autopilot. So that curiosity and that awareness that what your mind is feeding you isn't necessarily truth. It's not necessarily right. It's just whatever's been put in there. And you can put in whatever you want, but it takes time. So
yeah, time, practice, repetition, a lot of it is part of it. And none of us are immune to that. We all go through that journey. I have had people that tell me good example is when I was studying sports psychology, we would have statistics. So most people, they don't sign up to psychology to study statistics, but it's part of it because it's science. And I was learning it in my second language. So for me, learning math stuff in second language, it's like learning completely new language. So I literally spent, and that's the subject that has the highest failing rate. I probably spent at least 40 hours just preparing for that one exam. and I had one of the highest like marks, like 93%, which is really high. And I remember one of my course mates, he was like, "Oh, I wish I could be like you," or something like that. I'm like, you don't have to wish. Spend 40 hours, do the in-depth that I did,
Right.
and that's what you will have.
Right.
There's nothing special
Right.
or anything like that,
That's right.
other than
It's kind of a
you show
formula.
up and you do the work.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
formula. We're all given this gift, of time here. And, some of us start younger than others, but when you start to look at it and use that gift to your advantage. And I love that you said, time, put the seed out there, put it in the right direction, keep the repetition of it, and time will do the work. And that you don't, it's not going to change overnight. And also I like that you said that, and then you learn along the way, even the things. I teach a class twice a month, the Awareness Hub, year-round mindful living, and I learned so much just from preparing the class, right? And so it's a beautiful, heart-opening journey to be on when you're paying attention, when you are aware, and the opposite is also true. And it takes a lot of people till their late 20s or early 30s to go, what the hell happened? If you're on autopilot. So lovely message to give our listeners today. Thank you.
And I also want to add that there's something that helped me is realizing that there's no finish line to your growth, to your journey. We think that, I need to get to this finish line. Once you get there, you will see that there's so many layers you can unravel and learn about yourself. There's no finish line. And it's like, one of my mentors said I said like, I hope I will reach my full potential. And he was like, well, the best you can do is to keep scratching the surface, because it's limitless.
Yeah.
The best you can do, just keep scratching.
There's deeper and deeper. That is an excellent point, Austra. There's deeper and deeper levels of clarity. We use like a 0.00 whatever % of our mind. There's so much more out there. And in the stillness, I find especially you're going to find that deeper and deeper. And I don't know anyone, Buddha, I don't know, that had gotten like there. And there's no there that's going to make you okay. If I get there, I'm okay. If I do this, I'll be okay. You are okay. Everything about you is okay. It's just the thinking that's a little off. So
it's part of the journey.
It is. I love that. I usually ask my guests, what's a tip that you can leave someone with? I mean, you've already given so many good ones, but if somebody's listening to this and go, wow, where do I even start? What would you tell them?
Probably first one is be curious. Because without that, I think it's hard to even become aware, because you will just instantly go into judgment. As long as you stay curious, you look for answers, you stay open-minded, I think that's a good place to start. And then through that curiosity, you will actually find things to do. You will find ideas, and then probably the next thing for sure is to do something, take some kind of action. Just start.
Start. Yeah, I love that. Be curious, because I just lost what I was going to say. Be curious because you don't know what you don't know, and that curiosity and questioning. With curiosity comes questioning. Is this right? Is this who I am? Right. So curiosity and questioning. And then things show up, and you don't have to know what action to take. It'll be like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to do this now. Recently, I have a book I wrote. I was working for 6 years, and at the end of it, I came up with my practices, and I set it aside for a while. And just recently, it's like, okay, time to pick up the book again and start, working on it. So that wisdom comes through, and you'll know what action to take. So
yeah, exactly.
So where do they find you?
Most places. I think if you search for my name, I probably will come up. You can find me on Instagram. It's Austra.Putnina, the name, that surname. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. Check out my podcasts, Chase the Impossible and Wisdom in Action. Those probably are the best places to look for me.
Oh, well, Austra, I love again, I'm always like celebrating people that start younger and what you're doing. You're living in Latvia
Estonia.
now. I keep getting this like that.
That's fine.
Living in Estonia
But
now from Latvia, and
yeah.
and I love it. I love that we are a worldwide community today, and so reaching out to the world, giving them this information. I love what you're doing. I celebrate your life and your journey that,
Thank
hopefully
you.
has another 50 or 60 years to go. Thank you so much for being on this podcast with me. It was very loving and open and a lot of good energy. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, listeners, for joining us for another episode of Pay Attention. I admittedly, sometimes when I start these interviews, I think, I wonder where this is going to go. And today it was just really a joyful, heart-opening message out there about, you're not stuck, and it's all in there. It won't happen overnight, but you'll find your way. Curiosity and awareness. So thank you for joining me for another episode. We'll see you again on Pay Attention. We recorded this back in October, and I really enjoyed listening to it today because that wisdom that you were talking about, it's the same wisdom that took me, 20 some years from that low point to come up with, but it's the same. It is the journey. Right? Separating. I loved it when you said you don't have to, when we don't know where we want to go, most people don't know. It's just get as far away from where you are, right? Come back to the present moment. So that wisdom everyone seems to get to the same conclusion when they start taking action, take this journey. So
I think a lot of it also is there's a lot of I learned this a lot from people that teach things to me. Most of the things, they're basic, they're simple.
Yeah.
We just tend to overcomplicate them.
Yes. Yeah. And it is, can it be this simple, right? I like I said in the podcast, I have started kind of working on some personal essays, and if you'd have told me back then that it was this simple, the mind can't even comprehend how straightforward this journey can be, because it's works so hard to keep you stuck in those habits and patterns that you have. So
yeah, and add to that all the overthinking and trying to predict what will go wrong, or what's the best way, and through doing that we end up thinking more than we're doing, and
right.
No surprise we're stuck.
You don't take action. And I struggle sometimes with, I know, everyone's at a different place, and it's really what you can see. You're either seeing through the lens of that negativity. You had mentioned a lot of times positive things come from negative things. And often that's where people have to start, because the mind is negative bias to keep you safe. And there's usually, if you're in a place you don't want to be, there's a lot of negativity around. And so sometimes people are looking through a lot of negative things. And so when I'm speaking to them, to me, it's like, I understand why they can't hear what I'm saying, why it's just, just let it go, just step back, just take a look, just question these things. Most of them aren't true. You're making choices from outdated habits, misguided patterns. But I guess that's where patience and kindness and compassion come in. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because especially when you want to help people and you see even some ways how they could help themselves. One is you can't really help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves, but also it's about, and I think this is a big challenge, is to talk to people to where they're at.
Yes.
Because sometimes we talk to them from where we are,
or where we want them to be. Right. Yep. Yeah, that's very wise. You're a very wise young lady.
Well, thank you.
And it's been a long time. I apologize again for how long it's been. I know we recorded like last October. So what have you been up to the last, 7, 8 months? Still working on your podcast. I know our episode came out, which was lovely.
Yes. I think a lot of it is I think that's the boring thing or boring side of the growth. A lot of it is for the most part the same.
Yeah.
I'm doing my work with podcasts and like other shows that I'm working with, doing a bit of coaching and doing my own training. Like I was doing Pilates, now I'm doing less of them. No, actually, I got back to them. Basketball. I have in a couple of weeks I have half marathon coming up, so I have been staying active, spending time with family. I'm currently back home, so spending a bit more time with my family. My brother actually left for Iceland like 2 hours ago, so just spending a bit more time with him before he left. And yeah, a lot of it is for the most part the same. So I think that's even with that.
True. Yeah, actually, and part of the reasons I'm concluding the podcast for the summer is, I'm just ending a relationship. My second son just got married, and I'm just going to step back and just let life flow and see what comes up next, because the thinking mind will never know the best way to go. It's that clarity of conscious awareness that's gonna really open your heart and show you the best way to find that light and love and openness that you want. So
I think it's, even with what you just said, I think it's important to touch on the importance of having or giving yourself that space.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we fill it up, but we don't have that space to connect, to reflect, to have something new come in. Even if it's just an idea, we just don't have space for it. We just distract ourselves from ourselves a lot of times.
That's exactly right. When you back off, when you just kind of stop the thinking and sit in the stillness, all of these wonderful ideas come in. All of this, like I'm writing, and I'll wake up at 6:30 in the morning when my mind is quiet, and I have to get my computer out, and I'm watching the words come, and I'm like, where is this coming from? It's so lovely. So your message of scratching the surface, being curious, thinking mind doesn't have to figure it out, let it enjoy the ride. So you're at home now.
Yeah, I am at home until the end of the week. I have a couple of people I want to meet. Interestingly enough, it's kind of aligned where some people that don't live in Latvia, they're going to be in Latvia this weekend. So I'll be able to catch up with some people I haven't met in real life in a good year or so. I think 2 of them. So I really look forward to that. Which, even with that, there was a time that I didn't really prioritize connection, spending time with people or finding time for people, or even being present when I'm spending time with family. Now a lot of it is kind of non-negotiable. When I'm with somebody, I'm present. If I'm home, I always go visit everybody from my family, spend at least some time with them, connect with them, be present. And that's where when I get home, I'm much more regulated.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being present with us today. Thank you for coming all the way from Estonia. Thank you for your curiosity when you're younger, the wisdom you shared with all of us today, and all your work. So, Austra, I appreciate you. And thanks, everyone, for hanging in there with us. We got this last episode. It is my intention, to be back late around the holidays. And then I'll join you again when we get to season 3. So everyone, enjoy your day. Be curious, scratch the surface, and as Austra says, take action. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Pay Attention with Holly McNeill. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next week on Wednesday at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern.